Hello, my name is Leila Sanchez, and this is my GPE205 Project Milestone 3 Pickups, Power-Ups, and Procedural Maps overview. I would like to quickly demonstrate that the player tank still moves and fires after being spawned on this procedural map scene. After it loads up, I could move and fire. Perfect. To do this, I created a level class called Map Generator. Take a look at that on this script. Here is where I hold all the necessary parameters to generate a level, lines 8 through 15. And here on line 15 is where I hold the 2D array of all the room prefabs that are instantiated as part of the map generation. Going more in depth for this script, I created a function called random room prefab right here that will return a random prefab from the grid prefabs added in the inspector. And this utilizes Unity engines.random.range with a minimum inclusive value of 0, which would be the first index in the array, and a max exclusive value of the number of items in the array using the dot length. The exclusive value keeps the range within a usable amount by not allowing the index to surpass the number of prefabs in the array. Let's take a look at the empty game object called room generator in its inspector. All right. Here under the grid prefabs is the array that is exposed for designers, and so far I have 3 prefabs added to the array. The amount of rows and columns generated, here I have it set to 3 by 3, can be changed, and the code will produce a level based on the entered parameters. So for example, I'll show you the size of a 3 by 3. And it's going to be random every time because I have the is map of the day checked from the scene. So I have 9 boxes here. If I restart it, we'll do 5 by 5. Pause, and you'll see there are more rooms. 5 by 5, 25 rooms. And let's just do one more. So yeah, any number you put, it'll generate accordingly. I have a room script that is attached to the room or grid prefabs. Is this right here. And in here, I take game objects that correspond to their names, north, south, east, and west. And then back on the map generator script, let's see here. On the generate map function, I use a nested for loop to iterate through a now defined array called grid that checks using a combination of if, else statements to check the position of the prefab to determine which doors to open. And this generate map function can be set to use a seed to generate a random level. Here on line 55, I set the seed using Unity Engine's, again, random.initializeState, using the map seed entered by designers up at the top. And using the same seed will result in the same level generation pattern. The map generation can also be set using a public bool to check if the designer wants to generate a map based on the current day and time. And that's right here. Public bool is map of the day. And this calls to a function defined on line 128 or 129 right here. And it is called date2int. And this takes in the system's date time, and then I named it date2use to call it within the function, where I add the year and month, day, hour, minute, second, and millisecond. Up in the start function, I use an if statement to check if isMap of the day is true or not to determine the map seed. Let's see, down here at line 136, I have this custom function called populate AI spawn. And this, for each room and grid, is going to run the game manager's spawn AI using Unity Engines .random within a range. And this is based on a list of the possible tanks to choose from defined on the game manager's inspector to a list held on a room script called AI spawn points that holds all the game objects with the component AI spawn point attached to it, which is just a script I made. And it stores it in a list. And I use it to the UE random.range to pick a random AI spawn point based on the total count of spawn points. And since it's an empty game object, we need to grab the .transform for the location. And down here, this is the waypoint list is held on the room script, so that way it can auto-generate with the room prefabs. And this is just to store the patrol waypoints for the AI controllers in the auto-generated rooms. Moving to my updated game manager, here's where I instantiate the player controller on line 94. And then the player's pawn here on line 97. Slight difference, but it's there. I also set the player to spawn at a random spawn point from the function on line 169. Right here, get pawn spawn point. And this sets a local seed and uses the same UE.random in its state based on time. And then returns a randomized index from the range. And this is called right here, player spawn transform equals get spawn point dot transform. And I spawn the AI using a function called spawn AI here on line 118, where I instantiate the AI from an exposed array called AI tanks, which is filled out in the inspector with their corresponding personalities. Let me show that really quickly from the game manager. Is it low? This is the array, and you can store whatever tank prefab you want with whatever personality or AI controller script you want. Now I could show that the pickups I made spawn and alter AI and player pawn tanks. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to open the UA tank inspector. Right. You'll be able to see my health and my current lives. Got both of them in the frame. All right, this is a speed boost pickup for 2 seconds. And add. Let's see. This is my health pickup, so that's why it looked like it didn't do anything because I didn't take any damage. But it is going to add 5 health, and it is permanent. And my invincibility pickup lasts for 5 seconds, and this is just set to disable the health component for those 5 seconds and then re-enable it after on remove. I've got my extra life pickup, and that one is also set to permanent, and each time you pick one up, the life count will go up by 1, and if it was set to non-permanent, it would remove 1. And just to show boost, and you could change what the speed boost amount is. I'm just gonna show that they come back after a couple seconds. I was unlucky that I spawned right next to him. So yeah, these come back after a couple seconds. Let's now take a look at my Powerup script. And this right here is my superclass for all of my power-ups that I just showed. For example, my speed boost power-up right here inherits from power-up, and it is marked system serializable, so that way we can adjust the speed boost amount from the inspector, or other developers can do that as well. Let's see. And all of the power-ups are marked system serializable, so that way the inspector is editable. So I could show all my power-up scripts right here in the inspector really quickly. Speed boost, which we already saw. My invincibility power-up. Target the health component. And we're gonna set is invincible to true, which is a custom boolean I put on the health script to do this power up function. And I have the health power up. Apply the health changes to the health component. Target the health to add to the target. And then if I wanted to remove it, remove it. Extra life power up calls a gain life function I defined on the health component. And I also define a lose life function for the remove application of it, since this is not a permanent power up, or it can be non-permanent. In my case, it is permanent. All of my pickup scripts, these here, utilize inheritance only to reference data and add it to the Power Up Manager if it's not null. So for example, I'll just open up one of them because they're all basically the same. Here's where they will add it to the Power Up Manager's list and then destroy the game object when it collides with a collider. And this little bit of code is also on my other pickup scripts, and it just rotates the object that this component is placed on by time.delta time and rotation speed, which is a accessible variable in the inspector. This brings us to the Power Up Manager script I created. And this is attached to the player and the AI at spawn, but in the Power Up Manager script. My bad, but yeah, in the Power Up Manager script, I use a timer on the function decrement power up timers. Let's look for that. Here on line 51, that if a power up is marked non-permanent, it will expire and be removed after a defined duration. So for each power up in Powerups, the type is power up class. Power up is a local variable named here and based in the list power ups. If the public boolean is permanent is not checked, we are going to do this. And if time is up, we will remove the power up. Also, just to quickly mention again, in case I forgot, my health power up script is a permanent effect to the health. So let me quickly show my prefabs folder. All right, and this is my power ups I have. These are their spawners. Health pickup is checked to permanent. My extra life pickup is checked to permanent. This is the health pickup from the lesson. This is my invincibility pickup is checked to false, not permanent, and it has a duration for 5 seconds. And my speed boost is also not permanent with a duration of 2 and a multiplier of 4. Thank you for watching. This has been my Module 3 overview.